Here at home, the Education Secretary Michael Gove is facing a new row after his department rejected a proposed grammar school extension in Kent. It blocked plans for a new selective school in Sevenoaks, despite the fact that many Tories would welcome such a development. It said laws which allowed the expansion of existing grammars did not apply to what was effectively a new school. The local MP, Business Minister Michael Fallon, was among those who expressed disappointment at the decision. Now, earlier I spoke to the leader of the UK Independence Party, Nigel Farage, who's currently recovering from an operation on his neck, and I asked him what Michael Gove's decision meant.
I think the message that comes out from this is that the Department of Education, Michael Gove, this government will not open up the doors to selective education. And what that means is there are lots of youngsters in Sevenoaks who will not get the opportunity they'd hoped for.
But a vote for you could potentially mean that the Tories are out of power, and that means Labour gets in, and Labour is even more opposed to grammar schools than the Tories are. So if you like grammar schools, you shouldn't vote for UKIP.
Labour began the vandalism and wanton destruction of hundreds of grammar schools in the late 1960s. The Conservatives in the 70s closed even more grammar schools. So I don't think history suggests as much there. And I would further say the idea that a vote for UKIP means that Labour will get into power actually is now being shown in the polls to be wrong. We're taking more votes. Something
so who is going to get into power?
Something like 2/3 of our votes are actually coming from non-Tory voters.
Okay.
I can't predict the outcome of 2015, but what I can say is that the UKIP voice on grammar schools is supported by a lot of people.
Let's get back to the subject then, grammar schools. So you presumably like the idea of choice, therefore you want grammar schools to flourish. But grammar schools are a choice for 25% of the school population, if not less. What about the other 65%?
Well, the argument is that because only 1 in 4 gets the opportunity of going to a grammar school, that it's unfair. I'll tell you what's really unfair. What's really unfair is there are only 164 grammar schools left in this whole country, and what is really unfair is that the 7% whose parents are rich enough are now dominating public life in Britain.
But isn't that also the point, that grammar schools are not just academically selective, they are also socially selective? That's what all the evidence suggests. So it's not just about being the brightest kids going to their schools, it's about the most fortunate kids.
The reason is that where the grammar schools have been left have been generally in the wealthier shire counties. Had we still had grammar schools in the big cities and in the poorer parts of this country, then the evidence would look very different.
But what about those kids who don't get into grammar schools? Are you saying that secondary modern schools are fine, should be left as they are? Because that's the vast population, the majority of it.
Yes, that's right.
Those are your voters.
Well, yes, and actually what we've been doing, I'm afraid mistakenly, is convincing everybody by degrading our exam results that university education is something that should be opened up to as many people as possible. We're heading towards a target of 50% going to university, and we've turned our backs as a nation on trades and skills.
There's another fan of grammar schools called Boris Johnson, who in a rather controversial speech the other day said that there are many people in this country who are just not intelligent enough, and policy should reflect that. Do you agree with him?
I think Boris put it very indelicately. But let's not be ashamed of academic and intellectual elitism. Let's not be ashamed of saying that there is a percentage of this population who've got high IQs, and let's make sure they get the opportunity to become successful inventors, businessmen, and everything else. And what is currently happening is lots of our bright youngsters are not being given the chance to realise their potential.
Have you just said that you could do business with a Boris-led government? Boris-led Tory party?
I agree with Boris on some things.
What about the man behind you, here, in front of you, behind me,
I have
Michael Gove?
I have always said...
The Tory party led by Michael Gove. Can you do business with them?
I've always said that I've admired Gove probably more than anybody else in this coalition government, which is why today I am so disappointed that Michael Gove, who's come in to try and revolutionise, as he's put it himself, British education, has turned his back and denied those children in Sevenoaks the opportunity they should have had.
So just to be clear, Michael Gove leads the Tory party. Are you doing business with him? Not yes or no?
I, quite frankly, think the Conservative view of UKIP is such that they would not wish to do a deal with us. I don't think there'll be any deals between now and the 2015 general election. The real question is, what can UKIP do in the 2015 general election?
Just one more. Big subject this week, segregation. Are you in favour of single-sex education?
Yes, I am. Again, we're back to parental choice. But one thing's for certain. Girls at sixth form level or years 12 and 13 as it's now known, girls at that level in single-sex education do far better than in mixed education.
That is exactly the same argument used by some more radical Muslims for being in favour of segregation of the sexes at school and university level.
No, we're not arguing that we want to have a segregated society, but we are arguing that parental choice at school should give people the choice, if they wish, to go for all boys or all girls schools.
But if you talk to people who want segregation at university, I mean, from the more radical members of the Muslim community, they are saying that precisely the same arguments that are used for talking about single-sex education are the arguments that they underpin with the Quran for talking about segregation in education in general.
This is a rather different issue. I mean, there are some members of the Muslim community, perhaps ones from Saudi Arabia, who think women shouldn't even drive cars. We're not suggesting that for a moment, but let's remember, it's not long ago that there were single-sex colleges at Oxford and Cambridge. I know all of that has changed, but the strong evidence is that girls doing A-levels do better in single-sex education, and I think parents should be given that choice.
Ajmal Faraj, thank you very much.
Thank you.